Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Inspirational Woman. May the peace, blessings and mercy of Almighty be with you and your loved ones wherever you are. I'm Najwa and I'm chatting to a wonderful inspirational woman, Advocate Bernardine Baha. She's the director of the Sarki Barman Center here in Athlone, Cape Town. Good day, Bernardine.
Good day, Najwa.
How are you, my sweetheart?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
We're great. Thank you for the invitation. Really an honor to be walking into the Sarki Barman Center. Very huge name, you know, I think right around the world. A woman that was also abused in her time. Absolutely. But before we get into that, Bernardine, a brief summary about yourself, because you're in the legal field.
Absolutely. So I started off as an advocate in private practice, then spent a stint at the Family Advocate's Office. I worked as the senior family advocate there for a number of years.
Department of Justice,
Absolutely.
Western Cape,
Yes.
proud.
Very proudly, and subsequently went back into private practice for a very short time. And once my children were in high school, decided I'm going into the NGO world and doing something that's more aligned with my values.
Right, me time for mom.
Absolutely.
But you're also making such a huge difference, Bernardine, currently at this center, because you're very outspoken about, you know, the abuse against women and children. We know what's happening in South Africa. The mission and the vision of Sarki Barman. Can you basically just give us a brief summary?
Absolutely. So what Sarki Barman is a human rights centered organization that strives to build a world that is free of violence against women and children. So we deal with the woman holistically in that we look at what empowerment services she would need, as well as her children, to go back into the community and be empowered and not go back to the perpetrators. So does she need training? Does she need a job? Does she need housing? Does she need legal protection? And we work with the woman from the start, from the first day she gets here. We work with her development plan, and the idea is to make sure that she gets everything she needs to stay away from abuse and violence.
Okay, so does she stay on the premises at the center?
That's right. So she stays here for a 4-month period. Afterwards, there is an opportunity to apply to our second stage housing facility, where she can stay for a further 6 months. But ordinarily, the woman would stay here for 4 months. She stays with her children, so she's not worried about her children that are left behind at home, either with the perpetrator or without the perpetrator. And the children, we can also give them services, including psychotherapy, so that they are able to break the intergenerational cycle of abuse. So we have a creche here for them. We have a holiday camp. We do after-school services with them. We try to bring the family back together, and whichever way whatever is needed, be it parenting classes, and dealing with the psychotherapy.
Of course, I believe laughing therapy is one of the very important things in our life, because often we don't laugh enough.
That's right.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think it's very important to find joy where you can.
Especially with these women that, you know, are in these abusive relationships, and the children, like you mentioned. But talking about the kids in particular, the school-going children, they also stay with mommy. And what about their schooling? Do they actually go and attend their schooling as well?
They do.
Do you provide that service?
Yes. We have very good relationships with the principals in the area. So once they come into the center, we would place them in schools that are within our area. They would go to school as they ordinarily would at home. I'm very proud to say that last year we had 2 matriculants, 2 girls that wrote their matric in the center, and both of them received bursaries to go to university in the sciences. So, yes.
Great, great. Talking about the center, what is your staff establishment? How many staff do you have on board?
We have 24 full-time staff members, and we have a number of volunteers that assist us.
Are you part of the cooking team? Feeding
periodically. if we have Eid, we make a big deal about Eid. So it means that we all go into the kitchen, all the staff members, and we serve the ladies on Eid, and we eat together with them. So Christmas Day as well. So we get involved in pretty much everything that's going on at Sarki Barman. We like to say that we're a family. I like to believe that that is true. And I mean a family with the women that are here.
Of course. So really a home away from home for complete holistic healing.
That's right.
You mentioned about certain services. Is it one-on-one therapy that you have with the abused lady? What about the perpetrator?
The ladies do get one-on-one therapy. We also do group therapy, just depending on what the need is at any one time. The perpetrators, we don't run a perpetrator program here. If the survivor expresses to us that she'd actually like reintegration services with him, we will assist with that. And that's a part of what we call a safety plan for when she leaves. So if she decides she'd like to go back to him and rebuild that relationship, we facilitate that and make sure that once she leaves here, she is protected by making sure that all those mechanisms are in place for her.
So it's really about her being strong, loving herself again, so that she can even go back to her husband or her partner.
Exactly.
All right.
One of the things we are really wanting to look at is actually having a perpetrator program run from the Saki Bartman Center, obviously off-site, that we will be doing therapy, intensive therapy with perpetrators within the family unit. So taking information from the child and the women to the perpetrator as to what the impact of the abuse has personally been on them. And then obviously awareness raising. So that's my plan for next year. It's no use having the woman come in here. We empower her completely. She goes back into the community. She stays away from abuse, but the perpetrator goes on to the next survivor. So we need to start looking at how we're dealing with perpetrators in society.
Bernadine, in your opinion, is there hope for South Africa with all this gender-based violence happening?
I always said that there is hope. You know, we pride ourselves on being a beacon of hope at the Saki Bartman Center. We sell hope. But yes, I think with the latest political regime and President Cyril Ramaphosa has made a firm commitment, and he has stood behind his firm commitment to actually start addressing gender-based violence. And I am very encouraged by the initiatives that he's come up with, especially things like having gender-based violence actually dealt with at the school age.
Good.
You know, looking at rolling out further sexual offences courts and looking at the FCS units. So I think that there's political will behind gender-based violence at the moment that I hadn't seen in the past. So I am very encouraged, and I do believe that there is hope.
Oh, great. That makes us all feel better. Bernadine, tips really, you know, for ladies, whoever's watching our show, I mean, it's an international show, to protect ourselves against any type of abuse. What advice would you give us?
I think what we don't teach girls is what are the red flags that perpetrators, and there are red flags. Every perpetrator goes according to a very set of circumstances when they start with abuse. What are the red flags? You know, are they telling me what to wear? Am I being told where to go? Am I being isolated from my family? These are just some of them. The other thing is obviously to be constantly vigilant, but to understand that there are resources out there, that there are resources that can assist you. So don't be isolated by the abuse. Don't be afraid to speak out. There are people that are trained to assist you, and this assistance is there. I think that's one of the most important things, is that the abuse isolates so badly, and there's such an amount of shame that a survivor feels about gender-based violence that she doesn't speak up until it gets to the point where it's unmanageable. And we'd like to stop that. You know, well, last year we had Mandela Day at the center. And we had a beautiful day. We had so many corporations coming in. We had the Department of Justice coming in for the day. There was painting and there was different activities. There was so much food. It was just a presents for the ladies. It was a beautiful day. It was one of the best days of my life. It was just to see the outpouring of love from the community to the ladies that were at the center. And when I was leaving the lunch, I bumped into one of the newer residents here, and she looked sad. And I said to her, "Are you okay?" And the tears started welling up, and I said, "How can I help you?" And she said to me, "Bern, today was the first day that I actually realized that there are people out there that care about us." And that's what the abuse does.
You're going to make me also tear up.
Well, I did myself. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So it's very real.
It's very real.
Thank goodness to you and the Saki Bartman Center, Bernadine. We really do value and appreciate that. Because as I came in, you know, there was young mommies with their newborn babies. In terms of your residents, how many can you cater for? 120
women and children at any one time. We are mostly full. we would then liaise with the other shelters in the area to see whether if a woman wants to come in and we're full, we will make sure that nobody is ever turned away, that she finds the services that she needs. Snapshot of a woman that comes into the SARC apartment centers. Often she comes in, she doesn't have her bag with her, she has no documentation because it's often used as a power play by the perpetrator. It gets lost, it gets burnt, it gets thrown away. If she has a baby, the baby doesn't have a bottle, the baby doesn't have nappies. All of these things are provided for by us. So she often comes here with very, very little, and the children come here with very little as well.
And you give her that comfort.
Absolutely.
That space.
From the first moment that she comes in, we make sure that she gets intensive therapy with our orientation unit, but she gets space in the orientation unit just to debrief, take a deep breath and get some rest, and come to terms with where she is.
Bernadine, you won't believe it. We need to wrap up our, we have very few minutes to the show. I want to ask you a message of hope to the world. What would you leave us with this in our show?
I always say that the struggle against gender-based violence in South African society is not just the struggle of the staff in the shelter, it's not just government struggle, it's the man and the street struggle, it's corporation struggle, and it's only when we all stand up together and we say enough is enough that we actually are going to get to a point where we're going to start seeing the diminishment of the numbers of gender-based violence in South Africa. So it's up to all of us to take accountability, to the people that we're around, to make sure that we call it out when we see it happening in front of us, and we can reverse the numbers, but we need to start looking at making sure that the children are not lost in the street.
Thank you very much, my darling. It was so wonderful to be here. We can actually feel the comfort, in this office, and I'm sure it resonates right through your organization. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it, and all of the best to you and your organization.
Thanks.
Well, that's a wrap from me and this wonderful attorney at the SARC Apartment Center. And as the lady said, there's always hope. For myself, Najwa Mohammed Ladi, goodbye.
Ek sê altyd, ons vroumense kan lekker multitask. Ja, ek vat niks weg van die man sê, want ja, hulle kan ook lekker hulle dingetjies doen, né? Assalamu alaikum, hallo en hartlike welkom by Inspirational Woman. Ek is Abida Dixon Mohammed. My gas vandag is Amina B. Hanika. En ek gaan vir sy is 'n energy healing therapist. Assalamu alaikum, Amina B.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sê gou vir my man. Energy healing therapist. Vir my wat nou nie al daai kennis het nie, wat is dit?
Oh, I'm figuring that one out as well. Okay. Energy and emotional healing. We all go through so much in life, but we don't know how to work through things. So this is where we come in as energy and emotional healing therapists. Energy, we are all made of energy. And when we are sick, we vibrate on a low level. When we are sad, we vibrate on a low level. So how do we get out of that? And this is where we come in as therapists. And then the emotional side, we go through so much. We go through traumas and phobias and fears. We have physical pain. We have mental issues. How do we work through these things? This is where we help you to work through that.
Okay, nou wat is dit wat julle doen?
So, energy. That is where we can have you on the bed, we can have you standing, and we're sending energy. And basically that is focusing on our breath, our consciousness, our awareness, and raising our energetic vibration and helping you raise your vibration. And then the emotional part is taking you through a process where we're working with what is happening, and we go to the root cause of the issue. So sometimes you'll say, but I have a backache. Yes. And then it's not just working with the backache, we're going to go to the emotion of this backache. And sometimes it's not something, most of the time, it's not something that has happened now, it's something that's happened a long time ago.
Okay. Nou, as ek nou na jou toe kom en ek staan miskien vanoggend op en my rug is verskriklik seer. Maar nou gaan ek na jou toe kom en ek sê, Amina B, ag man, my rug is so seer. Help my Kanala. So wat gaan jy nou vir my doen?
The first thing that I'm going to do is just settle you down and ground you, and then I will align you. So literally, what someone told me one day was she could feel her bones moving into place. She had scoliosis. So subhanAllah, literally aligning you. So we carry our bags and that type of thing. So your body literally is out of alignment. And when you send energy, your body starts aligning.
Maar dink jy dan ook miskien dat dit iets te doen met jou posture, hoe jy baie keer sit of so aan of loop en so aan?
It can. But also everything that we go through, there is a physical, there is an emotional, psychological part to it, a spiritual part. We don't understand that. So when someone has a backache, immediately tells me, okay, if we go into the psychology behind it, it's like, what are your thought patterns around that? I'm not feeling supported. It depends also where the backache is. So if it is here in the top part, a lot of the times I'll check, is the emotional issues. And when we go into it and ask the person, then all the stuff come in. No, but it's my back. It's got nothing to do with the emotion. Yes, everything to do with the emotion. As you can see, I have our charts up here, and it's just telling you exactly about every part and the emotion behind it as well.
Nou dan sien ek dan ook, jy het 'n bed, jy daar ietsie en 'n lekker kassie en al daai tipe van goeders. Wat is dit omtrent wat jy gebruik vir hierdie?
Okay. So the chair tent in the corner, that is ozone therapy. What happens with us is when we become sick and when we have cancers and that type of thing is that there isn't enough oxygen in the body. An oxygenated body, that's why we're always taught to breathe properly. So we don't always breathe properly, but when you do ozone therapy, you're filling your cells literally with this oxygen and it starts healing. So which means, again, you're raising the vibration. So we find that, especially with cancer patients, ozone therapy works beautifully. Pain and stuff like that, also oxygenating the cells. You start feeling better. Your mobility increases because you're sitting in this tent and you're being in a sauna room.
Okay.
So you sit there and you just relax and just enjoy the moment and feel this warm heat and permeating your body with this oxygen, and it's just such a beautiful calming experience as well. But afterwards you feel more, sometimes you feel a bit tired, and afterwards you feel more energized and there's less pain, that type of thing.
Maar ek moet vir julle sê, Amina B se stem alleen gee vir my so 'n baie kalm deur my liggaam, né? Nou Amina B, ons het dan vroeër gepraat nou oor alles hierdie wat jy doen, maar jy dan ook genoem van workshops wat jy doen. Wat se tipe workshops doen jy?
Okay, so just to bring you why I do what I do also is I've gone through so much in life. And when I started going for therapy, it was you feel good, but Allah says, I shall not change the condition of man until he changes what's inside of him. So if I say I've been through everything under the sun, I've been there, I've done that.
Nou Amina, ons het dan vroeër gepraat en jy dan ook genoem dat jy doen ook workshops. Wat se tipe workshops is dit wat jy doen?
Okay, I do different types of workshops. So let me just backtrack a little bit. So why I do what I do is I've been through everything under the sun. Been there, done that. I've got the t-shirt. So yes, when I went for sessions, eventually many years later, you felt nice for a little while. And Allah says, I shall not change the condition of man until he changes what's inside of him. And I used to say, you need to change me, but I didn't know that it needed to come from me. So I started searching, and then I realized, but I need to shift. So we go for sessions, but I'm not shifting. I feel good, but I go back to my old thought patterns. I go back to my old way of doing things. I don't learn anything new. So this is where the workshops come in. Teaching people, because when you come to me for a session, it's not about you coming for a session only. You must leave here with skills to help yourself. So that is in your healing session as well as in workshops. We teach about forgiveness. I teach about forgiveness. I teach about letting go and gratitude, because we don't know how to do this. We like to do lip service. We do lip service. We say, I forgive you, but it's still aina here. And we hold on for years and years and years. For example, I had a 74-year-old lady that was raped when she was 12. Someone had paid for her session to come to me. For 62 years, she sat with this pain. So the first thing I said to her, did you forgive yourself? She said, for what must I forgive myself? I said, I asked the question again, and she burst out crying. We went through the session, but before we started, she told me, but I've been prayed on before and they've done everything, nothing's worked. At the end of the session, she tells me, I can feel a release taking place. Why? Is because we taught her skills also to help herself. Also the forgiveness needed to set in, but it's going back to self and then connecting with our Creator, and it doesn't matter who we are. So the workshops teach us how to think differently, how to be positive, how to control our thoughts, how to be mindful. It helps us in every aspect of our lives. It changes you on a cellular level. And when you change your thought pattern, and we don't know how to change our thought pattern unless we are taught to do so. When you change your thought pattern, because what goes on over here affects over here. And then it affects the physical body. And I tell people, remember, you are a heart, a mind, a body, and a soul. And the one impacts on the other. So why do I do holistic healing, or therapies are holistic? Why? Because we work with everything. You go to a psychologist, he works with the mind. You go to the doctor, he works with the body. But here it's holistic because every aspect needs to be worked with. So the workshop takes you through so you can help yourself as well.
En dink jy eintlik dat baie mense by die einde van die dag as hulle uit die werkswinkel uitgaan, hulle gaan huis toe met iets?
Absolutely. I have seen so many people, by the grace of Allah, their lives shift immensely. Alhamdulillah. You know, from being stuck in a rut to literally opening their own businesses, stuff like that, and going on to helping other people. For me, when someone comes, it's not just healing. It is about how do I shift my life and then impact other people as well.
Nou Amina, julle wat dan nou die therapists goeie mense is goeters, julle is dan nou ook mens en julle gaan dan ook deur dieselfde proses wat ons gaan. Maar hoe help jy miskien jouself as wat jy my help? Want ek meen, kyk, dis baie gou om te sê, maar as jy deur iets self gaan, dan is dit 'n bietjie moeiliker. So hoe help jy dalk jouself as jy deur iets gaan?
Alhamdulillah, firstly, learning to turn to Allah. Firstly, before I didn't do so because I didn't know how to. So, and I'm still learning. And then we have amazing friends, brothers and sisters that we tap into each other. And the minute you need help, there is always someone there to help you. Through Afia Healing, there is a huge group of people that have now done healing, have learned healing from an Islamic perspective in South Africa. Alhamdulillah.
Ek sê altyd, ek haal my hoed, maar ek dra mos nou nie hoed nie, so ek haal my doek vir julle af, vir alles waarmee julle besig is en hoe julle natuurlik ons mense kan help. Maar ek wens vir jou alles van die beste en sterkte vir jou, inshallah. Baie shukran. En so sê my gas natuurlik, Amina B. Hanika, en sy is 'n energy healing therapist. Eerste keer wat ek eintlik daai woord hoor. So as julle nou mooi gehoor het, moet ek dit mooi sê om dit mooi te kan onthou. Maar ek is baie bly vir hulle. Tot volgende keer, mooi bly. Ek is Abida Dixon Mohammed. Totsiens. Wassalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Greeting you with the universal greeting of peace. Welcome to Inspirational Woman. My name is Najwa Muhammad Ladi, and I'm at a learning institution today. I'm chatting to the country director of Mood SA, Ms. Julia Dumini. Good day, Julia, and welcome to Inspirational Woman. It's a great honor and privilege to be here, Julia. Thank you so much. Julia, as I said, country director, Mood SA. It's a huge profile, but I'm sure it started with very humble beginnings. If you can just give us a brief insight of how you were raised.
Yes. So born and raised here in Cape Town, and I absolutely love the city and I wouldn't go anywhere else.
Yes.
Just a holiday perhaps.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with your kind of job, you need to take your break.
Oh, yes, I definitely do. But starting from, we grew up in Mitchell's Plain. in Strandfontein with both my mom and my dad. But when I was 2, they divorced and they separated. So at that time, it was just myself and my brother, my eldest brother, and we were raised by our mother and our grandparents, really. And we loved it in Strandfontein, just the culture and the vibe and the youthfulness and just everything about it. We absolutely loved growing up there. And just as we grew up, we moved out into Grassy Park, Ottery area. And we always were just with our mother. Okay. Our father was in the picture, but not as hands-on and active, as my mom was. But growing up, really, she was really our inspiration and our role model, and she was a pillar of strength every step of the way. She really was so strong because she took on both roles. And really, for me, as a young woman growing up, that means so much to me, to just always know that I could rely on her and have her, and she had my back.
Of course,
always.
Of course, we want that from our mommies.
Exactly, yes.
That's great.
I mean,
and in terms of being a single mom, I'm sure money was also kind of a scarce commodity. But was education important to your mother?
It was very important. She made sure that we, with my brother playing cricket as he did, he was in and out of school, but she made sure that he finished matric and that he focused on the very prospects of what he could do with education as well, because cricket only comes for so long in your career and you need to have something to fall back on. And with me, she knew that I was more academic than sporty always, and still am. Sport is really not my thing, but academics always was, and she really just wanted to encourage that and grow that love and that passion for reading and writing. Oh, I love to write and I love to draw, and I was very artistic in that way. So she always encouraged that and promoted that kind of love for knowledge. And she knew that knowledge was power and it was important for me as a young woman growing up.
And strangely enough, after so many years, you're sitting in this position where you also encourage knowledge. So it's absolutely amazing.
It's a full circle.
Yes, definitely. Is Mommy still with us?
Yes,
still alive?
she is.
Would you like to send a message to your beautiful mother?
I would.
Please do.
Oh, she's amazing. It's been tough for her, and it's been a really challenging journey for her, but she's always been there, and she's still now today. She has 3 grandchildren, and she is they are the stars and the apples of her eye.
Of course.
Yes.
May Almighty just bless her and grant her still health for many more years. Mood SA, can you talk to us about this amazing learning institution?
Just to give you some background, so Mood has been in South Africa now for 12 years this year, and it is an internationally recognized organization, a global organization. And it started in Norway 23 years ago. It's in Latvia, Thailand. It started now in the US, and it's also in Denmark. So it's a global movement where we're looking at holistic development of our youth and empowering them with courage, to be courageous, to be self-aware, to be resilient, to understand that they are active citizens and they can participate in their own growth and that of their community and their society, and to be leaders. So it's really an amazing journey that I've been on with Mood for the past 3 years, and just encouraging youth and motivating them to be the best version of themselves. It's all about that self-mastery, going for your goals and your dreams. And the reason it relates so well to me is because growing up, I had all this from my mother, and I had this great upbringing with her, but I still was very naughty.
We all were naughty.
So very rebellious, and I felt very lost not having my dad around 24/7. My brother had more of a structured upbringing with his sport, but with me, it was more, I was trying to find my way with the different groups of friends, and I really got involved with some bad friends, and I made really bad choices. And when I had my son 8 years ago, beautiful boy now, Kyron, very proud mommy. When I had him, my life changed, and I really decided to focus more on him and his development, because I'm now responsible for this beautiful young man. But that also means take responsible for my own actions, be responsible for my actions, and also understand that I'm a role model to this young beautiful boy, and he's watching me. And that's when I changed, and I realized I have a different vision. And from that moment, I said within 5 years, I'm going to be working for a youth development organization, vision board and all. And in the 5th year, that's when I got this opportunity to work for Mut. And it was just amazing. I started as the social media manager and assistant, and I just worked my way up, and the board just saw that I just had a passion. I definitely was not qualified.
But the passion was there.
But the passion, the hard work, the determination, the resilience, it's still there within me. And they saw that in me. And in this position, I've had to educate myself financially. Budgets are the biggest issue. Budgets, HR, all of that. But from the beginning, I will always say that this was the most blessed opportunity that I could have ever found myself in. And I know that it didn't come easy and that I had to work hard, but I had a vision, I had a goal. And a lot of things along the way, but there were challenges, there always will be.
Always will be.
But it's been an amazing journey.
And Julia, how do you link with the FET colleges or the varsities? Can you just briefly talk to us about that, as well as the high schools?
Yes. So the vision, let's first talk about the vision of Mut, which is to create a warmer and safer society. And then our mission to do so is to develop robust youth who include all. So the way that we bring this vision and mission to life is that we as Mut South Africa, we partner with high schools and TVET colleges. And when we say partner, we train their educators, their social workers, their psychologists, their community members all around surrounding that educational institution. And they actually run the program over a 3-year period. So it's a 3-year course. And they do it as they would a life orientation period. They actually have a period of about 40 minutes where they run these life skills sessions. But it's so interactive, it's so fun. The youth get involved in their own interpersonal development, and that's really what makes it so different, is that it's fun.
Fantastic.
So they learn all these things.
Yeah, it's not heavy. They make fun. And as we know, we learn from playfulness, from being fun. Success stories?
Yes.
Have you got?
Yes, we do. There's always one that's really sticks with me and is the reason that motivates me every day to keep doing what I'm doing, because it's not easy leading this.
Of course, it's a huge profile that you have, Julia.
And so there was a young man at West Coast College, Atlantis campus, and he attended one of our youth leadership camps. And he felt that he was in a safe, warm space where he could really just empower the young men that were with him. It was a camp specifically focused on empowering and developing young men to understand their role within society and the community.
Because of the gender-based violence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we try to focus on them and just understanding who they are in this society. And he stood up and he said, he feels that he is ready to share his story about being involved in a 26 gang and how it started. And
26
gang in the Atlantis area. So he said he was in his home with his mom and his dad. He was raised by both parents, but they were drug addicts. And they really weren't focused on him and his development and just giving him that home and sense of belonging. He said on every second corner, there were gang leaders waiting to recruit. And he wore mainly the same clothes every day, same shoes. And they were no name brand. And he said all they did was they watched him every day as he walked past, and they offered him a brand new pair of sneakers, name brand sneakers, yes. And that is all they did, and they took him in, and they made him feel like he was part of a brotherhood, like he was part of a family. They gave him that sense of belonging, and he enjoyed it. He was honest. Yes. And then he said, but then things turned for the worst. Yeah. And he realized there are certain things that he needs to do to continue to be in this environment. Yeah. And this is when his aunt decided she's going to intervene here and try to get him on the right track, because now he wanted to get out the gang but didn't see a way around it. His aunt enrolled him in West Coast College Atlantis campus, and this is where every day he walked past the same classroom and he noticed that something was different. There was a different energy, high energy, lots of fun, lots of laughter, but nowhere else in the college, just in this one classroom. And eventually he drummed up the courage to go and ask this lecturer what is happening and what is so different. And she said, this is a Mut session and we have them weekly. So if you'd like to come in, just pop in 1 week and have a look and see and whether you like it or not. The next week he joined Mut, and he says he never looked back. just it inspired him, it motivated him, it made him see outside of his situation, which he couldn't currently
And he
do.
felt comfortable. He felt safe as well.
He felt safe.
Safe.
He felt like now he belonged to a good group, a good gang is what he called it. Yes. And it helped him, and he equates Mut to helping him get out of that gang environment and gang life, because he could see something bigger and something better, and he felt safe. He felt loved in the Mut environment. And that's really one of the main stories that stick with me and just helps motivate me every day when I'm feeling down. You know, there are a lot of kids going through so much at the moment. And I just hope that that Mut can just inspire them and motivate them.
I'm sure it will, my darling. I'm really sure. You know, how can you inspire, you know, somebody sitting at home right now, not knowing what to do with their lives? They may be teenagers. What would you tell them?
You know, there are two things, if I may. The first is you know, I always want to, and I believe, and I empower my son to live a life of integrity. So it's what you do when no one is looking. And you know, when people aren't looking, are you kind to others? Are you taking care of those that are in your household and those around you? Are you taking care of yourself? And it's not for the glam and the glitz of life and what other people want to see that you are doing. What are you doing that helps inspire others and motivate others? And then the second I would always say is that I have developed this squad that I have, or this team around me. And it's of people that are in my vicinity, family members, friends, ex-colleagues or current colleagues, that help me and inspire me and motivate me every day. I go to them for certain aspects that I am feeling weak or low in.
You need some energy sometimes from others as well.
So I really believe that no man is an island, and we need to use the people around us. And for example, with my brother, he is so spiritually strong and connected that sometimes I really just need that when I'm feeling low, and the same for him with me. So we do that for one another. And for my son, if I need just something playful and light-hearted and just that conversation and connection, I go to him. So each person in my life, and a lot of the times when we're sitting there, we think that we have nobody, and we can't
always
feel
somebody.
that. But just think and reflect, and you will see that you have people around you that really love you and want what's best for you.
Julia, thank you very much, my darling.
Thank you
Such
so
an
much.
honor and
It really was
privilege,
amazing.
you know, to be in your company, and we can really feel this positive energy going. So from the ITV team, we say thank you very much. Well, that's a wrap from the two of us here. But remember, as this beautiful young lady said, mood shows courage. Until we meet again, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Weet jy, ek is so bly wanneer ons as vroue besef dat ons kan ook doen wat mans kan doen. Assalamu alaikum, hallo en hartlike welkom by Inspirational Woman. Ek is Abida Dixon Mohammed en my gas vandag is Alin Ware, en sy is een van die vroue wat destyds as die eerste vroue brandstryder was. Hallo Alin. Maar ek moet sê 1996 is daarom nou al 'n lang tyd, en as ek reg onthou is dit nou 23 jaar gelede.
Ja, nee, dis reg, is 23 jaar gelede en is 'n lang tyd. Dit lyk soos gister, maar is 'n lang tyd.
Maar dan om 'n brandweervrou te wees, hoekom het jy nie besluit om enigiets anders te doen as wat ons vroue gewoond is nie?
Ek was 'n assistent rekenmeester voor dit. En ek wou iets anders gedoen het vir myself en my gemeenskap, en my broer was in die brandweer en ek het gesien wat hulle doen, en toe besluit ek, maar dis iets wat ek wil doen, en ek het eintlik 'n passie daarvoor develop, en dis wat ek...
Wel, jy weet, ek moet sê, ek ry net altyd so verby die brandweer, nee, maar ek was nog nooit binne in die stasie nie, en ek moet sê, julle waans is dan verskriklik groot.
Ja, dis eintlik die hoofstasie vir die Distrik Wes, waarvan ek die hoof is. En hierdie stasie is een van die oudstes. Hy is 88 jaar oud. So in 2 jaar tyd sal hy 90 jaar oud wees. En baie van die voertuie wat jy hier sien, is van die gespesialiseerde voertuie. Onthou, ons doen nie net brandbestryding nie. Ons doen redding ook. So ons het rescue vehicles en duikeenhede om diving en almal daai goed te doen. So en hazmat, omdat ons 'n groot area met verskeidenheid van soorte calls doen, is die verskillende voertuie.
Maar ek moet sê dit lyk lekker. Ek het altyd al gewonder as ek so sien daai lang pyp so uitkom. Hy lyk so baie swaar, is hy?
Hy is taamlik swaar as jy nie eintlik fiks is nie. So hy is so 30 meter en baie van die tyd gaan gooi jy so 2-3 lengtes van daai housepyp uit. En as hy nog water in het, dan is hy nog swaarder. So,
Ek kan net imagine. Nou dan Alien, julle het dan ook spesifieke klere wat julle nou natuurlik moet dra as julle dan nou uitgaan vir enige vuur om te blus en so aan. Ek kan net imagine daai klere is ook swaar, nê? Nee?
dis reg ja. Ons noem dit eintlik ons fire gear en of ons bankers. Dis 'n broek wat jy moet aantrek en 'n baadjie en dan jou helmet. En ook as ons in plekke gaan wat rook het en dan sit jy jou breathing apparatus set aan. So die hele lot is omtrent so 15 tot 20 kg ekstra gewig wat jy aan het.
Wow. Weet jy nou, sit ek my stalk miskien net in julle skoene self. As jy daai vuur gaan blus en jy sien daai groot vuur met jou eie oë, wat gaan deur jou gedagte as mens op daai oomblik?
Kyk, ons word opgelei daarvoor en ons basic aim is om die vuur te blus, om mense te red. Dis ons priority. En ons moet ons opleiding gebruik om daai vuur te blus. Ja, jy word bietjie beangstig, maar as jy jou opleiding vat en dit gebruik en net safe wees, dan is alles oukei.
Waar ek moet vir julle sê, soos hulle sal sê, ek haal my doek af vir ons vroue wat 'n ding regtig kan aanpak en dit is sommer maklik is, nê? Nee. Nou Alien, ek is dan nou seker jy werk met 'n klompie mans byvoorbeeld en weet ons nou daarvan hou of nie. Party van ons mans het nog daai persepsie dat ek is die man en ek kan 'n ding beter doen as jy. Was dit in die begin dan ook die situasie met jou?
Ja, dit was eintlik baie swaar geweest. Nie eintlik maklik net om in te kom nie, want jy as 'n vrou moet jouself bewys. En jy moet eintlik meer harder werk as wat die mans om vir hulle te bewys dat jy kan dit doen. En ook die teenstand wat jy gekry het, as jy miskien iets reg gedoen het, dan het jy nog altyd gekry. Dit is nog altyd 'n male dominant environment tot op vandag toe. Ons is maar net so omtrent 10% van die hele staf is ons vroumense.
Kom ons los dit maar daar. Nou Alien, as vir al die jongspan van vandag wat nou klaar is met matriek en so aan, as hulle dalk miskien nou voel, okay, dit is 'n regte ding vir hulle om te doen, watse kwalifikasies moet hulle miskien hê?
Ja, kyk vir die jongspan, om 'n brandweerman of 'n brandweervrou te wees is eintlik 'n goeie loopbaan. Okay. En baie mense besef dit nie eintlik. Jy moet eintlik fisies fiks wees en dan moet jy ook matriek hê. En jy moet eintlik 'n passie hê om mense te help, want wat jy doen is meestal om mense te help en ook jou lewe basies op die lyn te sit. En dis iets wat nie in almal sit nie. Daar is ook baie trauma wat jy sien. So ons het berading en goed vir dit wat gedoen word.
So dis amper soos hulle sê alles in een. So jy moet presies weet waarvoor jy vir jou inlaat as jy in hierdie bedryf gaan.
Dis reg ja. So is nie net soos ek sê brandbestryding nie. Daar's rescues, daar's ander divisions in die brandweer wat ons ook.
Maar nou alleen as ek nou die vraag vra, deesdae is alles mos nou anders. Mens kry dan ook daai prank calls. Maar julle weet dit mos nou nie voor die tyd nie. Hoe nou as julle daar kom en dan is dit nou nie soos dit gesê was?
Ja, dis eintlik sad want baie mense besef nie die prank calls wat hulle doen. Hulle haal eintlik vir ons uit waar ons eintlik na 'n regte call kan gegaan het. Ons noem dit false alarms. En nou is die brandtrok miskien by een van die false alarms en daar's miskien 'n regte brand. Nou moet daai tyd wat hulle nou moet spandeer om van die een na die ander een te gaan. Dit is eintlik wat vir ons 'n bietjie afsit. So ons probeer, ons kan nie sê dat dit 'n prank call is nie.
Exactly.
Ons moet uitgaan
om te kan sien.
om te kan sien dat dit wel 'n regte call is.
En deesdae is amper soos jou lewe is niks werd deesdae nie. En dinge gebeur en 'n mens moet net gedurig ook so op jou hoede wees.
Dis reg, ja. Ons het kyk, daar is baie dinge wat gebeur in die land. En vir ons is dit safety first en om 'n lewe te red. So ons gaan alles in ons vermoë doen om ons werk tot die beste van ons vermoë te doen.
Nou Aline, jy is dan ook getroud en jy het kinders en jy het 'n man. Sê gou vir my, 'n vrou wat dan in 'n mans wêreld betree, maak sy baie ondersteuning.
Ja nee, jy moet ondersteuning hê. In die manswêreld moet jy het. Ek is getroud, ja. My man is nie 'n brandweerman nie, so dit was 'n bietjie moeilik. Want nou jy's 24 uur weg van die huis en wat gaan nou gebeur? My kinders, voordat ek aangesluit het, was my seun al gebore, maar die 2 meisiekinders het ek gehad terwyl ek in die diens was. So daar's nie 24 uur crash en goed nie. So my ma en my pa het my baie gehelp met na die kinders kyk en so. So hulle het basies groot geword met my in die brandweerdiens.
En vandag is hulle groot en wat sê hulle van hulle ma wat nou daai vrou is?
Hulle is eintlik baie trots op hulle ma. Ek het 2 dogters en 1 seun. Hy is 29, maar hy is al getroud al. So en die 2 meisiekinders, een is op college en die een is graad 11, so is 19 en 16. En hulle is baie trots op hulle ma en oral wat hulle gaan sal hulle nou sê, nou my mom is a firefighter. So
ja, wel dan kan ek vir hulle sê hulle het alle reg om trots te wees op hulle ma, want dis die enige vrou wat iets sal aanpak soos daai nie. Nou Aline, hoeveel as ek nou hierdie waans aankyk, hoeveel waans het julle omtrent hier wat dalk miskien mag uitgaan?
Op hierdie stasie, soos ek sê, ek is die hoof van die Distrik Wes. Ja. Distrik Wes het 8 brandweerstasies en so ook Oos, Noord en Suid. En elkeen het hulle head van hulle distrik. En hierdie stasie is die hoofkantoor, so hier is 'n paar gespesialiseerde voertuie wat soos die duikeenheid, omdat ons die coastline het ons die duikeenheid hier. Ons het ook die rescue voertuig hier vir ongelukke, want ons is op die N1 en N2 en dan het ons 2 brandweerwagens wat uit kan gaan na enige oproepe toe. En ons is ook in die stad. So ons het die high-rise building, so ons het 2 hydraulic platforms die wat reg 55 meter hoog kan opgaan. En daai voertuie is ook hier so. So ons het mense wat daardie voertuie kan ry en kan operate, ja.
Nou ek sien dan hier is hierdie pyp en die waan, sê gou vir my, die water wat julle gebruik in die pype, hoe kry julle dit daarin?
Kyk, die water wat ons gebruik is potable water. Of sal ek sê non-potable water. Ons kan nie ander effluent water gebruik nie, want dan gaan die pype gedroes en ons moet dit weer uitspoel, so dis eintlik watermos. Ons kan seewater en goed gebruik, maar ook dan moet dit ook weer uitgespoel word. So ons kan van riviere draft. Hierdie is eintlik 'n special vacuum tanker wat dit kan doen en dan kan ons daai water gebruik om brande te blus.
Okay. En hoeveel water vat hierdie tank?
Die een wat hier agter my staan, hy vat 10.000 liter water. Ja. En dan is die gewone trokke het sê 3.5 tot 5.000 liter water wat hy ook saamdra. Wow. En dan het ons addisionele tankers en goed, en dan het ons ook ons het die bergie ook, so ons werk saam met Table Mountain National Parks en ons het voertuie wat af van die pad kan gaan. Wanneer jy kry off-road voertuie, jy kan nou nie die van die brandweerwagens halfway op die berg ry nie om die brande te blus nie.
Okay. Wel, Alien, ek sê vir jou baie dankie. Dit was baie lekker om met jou te gesels en ek moet sê, iewers in lewende lywe is jy nog meer pragtig as op die foto's, né? Ja, wel, en so sê my gas natuurlik Alien Ware en ek gaan vir julle sê hierdie vrou is sy kenner storie. Tot volgende keer, mooi bly. Ek is Abida Dixon Mohammed. Totsiens. Wassalamu alaikum.